All right, and we're back. All right, so we're talking about messaging, messaging for your e-commerce business, specifically for private label e-commerce brands that are looking to do direct response marketing, and it's really just looking for sales. At the end of the day, you're looking to get a lot of sales in, and you're looking to not try to break the bank. You know, you try to be profitable at the same time. And again, my name is Tyron Spear. Done about $2.4 million in e-commerce, Marines, Blackwater Security Group, and then from there I jumped into doing e-commerce. So hold on one second, let me adjust my AC. All right, so I was just talking about messaging and the difference between spending, you know, I'll tell you that I spent $350 on copy, and then I was able to make $1 million off of that. How was that possible? Because I had read a bunch of books. I had read Ogilvy on advertising, scientific advertising, cash advertising, but I hadn't actually written any copy. So I just understood enough so that way I could go out and do some of the research that was needed to be done. And what I mentioned inside the last video is that typically the reason why you're paying great copywriters $4 grand, 10 grand, $25,000, you know, even as high as $50,000. The reason why you're paying these guys this much money is because these guys are doing a lot of research. I was about to say a lot of effing research. So these guys are doing a lot of effing research. And the reason why they're doing a lot of effing research is because, like I told you, the market is more about people. The market is people. So a certain group of people, a certain group of human beings with psychological, who are very psychologically driven. We're all driven by what people like to call the lizard brain, or your limbic system. You know, the limbic brain, the limbic mind, or your primitive mind. So and then we understand that the limbic brain is basically, I didn't even think I was going to get into this, but your limbic brain, or your limbic system, it was your, you know, survival, flight or fight, survival, flight, or fight or flight. It was all of that, you know, your survival, you know, all of your basic survival skills, and you know, sex, survival, eating, you know, all of these different things, right? That brain still drives us today. And then our prefrontal cortex, it makes logic of all of the nudges that we get from the limbic brain. So basically, the emotions, where the emotions lie is in the limbic brain, and then the ration, the black and white, and so on and so, you know, the black and white is basically in the prefrontal cortex. So why is that important? That's important because understanding that, being able to tap into people's emotions, and then later on be able to talk about things in a logic fashion. That's basically what you're going to be seeing in these copywriting books. So they're going to tell you how to tap into people's emotions, not in a manipulative way, but basically to serve them. Because again, remember in the earlier videos I talked about, this is a problem that maybe you've had that you're trying to solve, or maybe this is something that your mom had, or maybe this is something that, you know, your dog had, or whatever it may be, but it's a problem, and you know how it affected you, and you know how you felt how you felt emotionally when you was going through this. A copywriter is going to be able to wrap all of those things up, and it's going to be able to hit on all of those emotional points and all of those logical points in order to be able to sell your product. And that's why you're paying these guys, you know, $50,000. I'm just thinking about guys that I know in my head. You know, some of those price ranges is $50,000, $25,000, $20,000, $4,000. And like I said, I started off with a guy at about $350, and the last guy that I worked with, I paid him $4,000 to write copy. So back to the digging into the market that you're trying to get into, and understanding those problems. It's either I talk a lot about problems because that's what I know. I don't really know the experiential style of marketing, because that's a whole different situation. You know, when you're selling experiences like the escape rooms and stuff like that. So anyway, It's up to you. If you're just getting started, it's up to you to do a lot of that legwork, a lot of the research. I talked about this earlier, going to Amazon, reading the reviews, seeing how people are describing their problems. Like I use something like, the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. Maybe people don't use those types of words. Maybe they just say, the front brain. The front brain is where all of the mathematics and the logical thinking go. And then in the back of your brain, where your spinal cord is at, is where all your emotions are at. If that's how people are articulating their pains and their problems, those are the same words that you want to use. When I was first getting started, before I paid the $350 to this copywriter, my listing on Amazon was probably doing about, let's say my listing on Amazon was doing $500 a day. Let's just say it was doing like $500 a day. When I brought this guy in and had this guy write I just missed my turn. But when I brought this guy in and had this guy write the copy, my sales went 5x overnight. All he did was just come on the listing and just change words around. And what was so sad, what I felt bad about was he just read through the reviews. He just simply read through the reviews, saw what people were saying, and took things from the reviews and moved them up to the top of my listing. Now that may not make sense now, but it was really just that simple. He really just read through the reviews and was like, oh, okay, well, this is what people are saying, and you're not saying any of that. You're not using any of the words that they're using in your messaging anywhere, in your bullet points and your headlines and nothing. So I was like, my God. So I was okay with that, but I've had a lot of these moments in e-commerce where I was just like, my God, my God, my God, if I'd have known this, what could I have done? And that's another thing too. The information that you get on YouTube is great. Like you get a lot of guys that give you a lot of great advice. Heck, I was on here one day trying to figure something out. I had spent I think $2,500 on a course, and I had to go to YouTube to kind of find something. It was like something small, but I needed to figure that out so that way I can move forward with this guy's course, because I was actually implementing what the guy was saying. So YouTube is good because the things that you get on YouTube kind of fills in some of the blanks. And this content that I'm giving you is really helping with your mindset and helping, where if you hear a guy says, well, that's going to cost $5,000. And you're like, well, why the hell is that going to cost $5,000? Well, all of these different things that needs to be done is the reason why it's going to cost $5,000. Or this probably, if he's charging you $5,000, then you're probably going to be able to make $100,000 off of it, or $50,000 off of it, especially if he's proven. So he's only charging you maybe 10% of what it is that you can actually make from what it is that he's giving you, or maybe you can 3x what it is that he's giving you. Who knows? Because I just kind of threw that out there. But the reason why people are charging you these numbers is because there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and there's a lot that you don't know. And the faster you're able to get that money to them, of course, you've done your research, read reviews, maybe talked to some of the other people that they've helped, whatever the situation is. Once you give these people this money, the reason why these people are charging these prices is because you're going to be able to make a crap load of money. So case in point, I just said that I paid $350. I did all of the research. I went through all the reviews. I did all the market research. I created buckets. Here are the pain points. Here how they're describing them. Here are the words that they're using when they're happy. Here are the words that they're using when they're mad. Yada, yada, yada. I created all of that stuff. So that way the guy could just take that information and he can begin to write. When you do these types of when you're doing a lot of the groundwork and the legwork, a lot of the price points, you can find somebody at a lower price point and you can make this person perform up here just because of the groundwork that you've already done. And that's huge, especially when it comes down, and I haven't even talked to you about design yet. So we're just right now just talking about messaging. So $350, you're doing a lot of leg work. $4K, again, at this time, if you're spending $4,000 on messaging, you've still at this point done a lot of leg work, or you have a lot of data. So you have a lot of information coming back from the customers. If you don't, I would suggest that if you don't have a lot of, if you're just getting started, and you don't have, wow, this guy's just driving up a lane. It's not even a lane. So if you don't have a lot of data and you're just getting started, make sure that the person that you're working with has experience in the market, or has sold similar products, or help people sell similar products, because you want to be concerned with, well, what type of research are you going to do? Because that's where the money's going to be made at, is doing the market research. And I probably need to make a video about that, because I'm almost at, what am I at, 10 minutes? So I'm over 10 minutes. So maybe I'll come back and start talking about, actually I talked about market research in another video, and I'm going over at this point, but I'm gonna keep it going. So so $4,000, you wanna make sure that the guy that you're paying $4K to, they've done the research, or you can properly do the research. Just make sure that you're supplying them with the information that they need so that they can create you a masterpiece that's going to sell for you. And at that point in time, at least you'll have your landing page done. The next piece of content that you're going to need, I'm going to talk about in the next video. I'm going to cut it off here at 11 minutes. All right, peace.